Welcome back, everyone, to the W Sports Podcast. We are live back at it, and it is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all you moms out there. Moms who may not have the official title, but man, you know what? You've been a mom to so many people around you, so thank you so much. But with the W Sports Podcast, we are going to bring you a full sports podcast today on Mother's Day. Yes, because it is a Sunday podcast. That's what we do. So Jimothy, and then the best co-host in the business, is back at it again. Tubby, welcome back to the show.
What is up? So I don't know if you had as good of a sports Saturday as I did yesterday, but yesterday's sports was perfect. The way it all played out. First off, you get up, watch Arlington win their first game, UFL. Bob Stoops finally get that win this year. Then the Mavs take game 3 up 2-1.
Ooh.
OU softball close out the Big 12 championship tournament. Then watch OU men clinch the Big 12 championship regular season for the first time ever. Watch the Stars go up.
Bro.
I mean,
that's a pretty good day.
Yeah, it was perfect.
That's a pretty solid day. We did do a sports day yesterday as well. So, like I mentioned before, my wife's little brother has been in town this week, and it's been a ton of fun just getting to show him around Kansas City and he's been here before, but just having a blast with him. So he's been killing it on Fortnite today. He beat Spider-Man, the Miles Morales game, but he wanted to have we just did a sports day yesterday. So we didn't do the same style of sports day that you did, but we did go to the batting cages. So again, some of you may not know this. I'm in a softball league. It's slow pitch, whatever. So that's when I go to the batting cages. I'm just gonna hit slow pitch. I don't need to prove anything to anyone. I'm not going to the 80 mile an hour because he was here. I was like, I'm gonna go 60, 65. I think I felt tipped 4. I felt pretty good about it. But then we did go play catch at the baseball fields at the park near our place. Played some sandlot style baseball or softball. Just go hit the ball, right? It was a ton of fun. So I felt like I got a little sunburn, not too bad, but it was a good day. Good sports day. Different sports day, but good sports day.
Yeah, sounds like a good day.
Yeah, but it's been good. It's been good. We're full blown summer. It's weird time because did you see the leaked images for college football game?
Yeah, I saw the cover for the deluxe edition. Yeah,
but did you also see the Notre Dame?
Yeah,
that looks pretty good.
Yeah, the graphics look pretty good. I'm so ready for it.
Me too. I will say, my wife and her little brother are a little under-impressed. I guess they weren't as hyped as I was, and I fell on the hype train pretty quick. They're like, it looks like a video game. And I was like, you guys just don't get it.
Of course, it looks like a video game. It's a video game.
Yeah, it does look absolutely incredible. And this month, you know what? Hopefully this time next week, we're going to be able to talk about it where it's announced, there's a reveal trailer at least. Oh, man. We got to be getting close. They're probably going to do it May 30th or something crazy like that. But
yeah,
can I pre-order now? Why won't the store let me do it right now? I will do it. They can take my money.
I would too right now. I saw something the other day and it was like, would you pay $500 right now to be the first person to get college football? And I'm like, man, that's pretty.
Is it on the table?
Yeah.
Is he offering me this?
Yeah. Is this real?
Mm-hmm.
I need to know real quick. Is it real? Because I might be interested.
As the media, we might actually need to get our hands on it early. They might actually benefit them. Yeah. We could get some good positive reviews, for that kind of thing. It just might be helpful for EA if they have the W Sports Podcast. It just makes sense.
Probably. That's a great idea. We'll have to, at them, be like, hey, you can go ahead and send us, just a couple of copies early so we can, beta test it for you real quick.
Yeah, no problem. We got your back. I got to know. I'm trying to rack my brain. Is that a Brooklyn Dodgers hat or what is this?
It is. It is a Brooklyn Dodgers hat.
Okay. I saw a guy this morning at work, and he had the Kansas City Monarchs, but he had the one from the Sandlot, the red stripes on it, the thick ones. They look good. Yeah, it's a good classic hat.
Yeah, this is an old one. I've had this one for quite a while.
It looks great. It's great shape.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for everyone. 5 minutes of just randomness there, but that is why you're listening. So thank you so much for hanging out with us. So today we're going to start off with a little bit of NBA because, this isn't necessarily an NBA podcast, but we are sports podcasts, and they are buzzing in the sports world right now. So we had obviously the draft lottery, the Atlanta, I almost said Falcons, Atlanta Hawks just won the lottery with a terrible chance to win it. They won it. Got to feel bad for the Detroit Pistons. They just cannot catch a break. They just keep catching L's, literally keep catching L's. Another year where they're not going to get the number one pick, but it's not like a Wemby year, but there is a consistent number one overall pick, I think. Out of the
yeah, I don't know. I've heard a lot of draft analysts say this is the year that you don't want the number one pick.
Yeah,
because there's just not that consensus, that one guy where you're like, that has to be the number one pick. And it's not like a couple other years where they're like, oh, there's multiple players that could potentially go number one. Compared to what a lot of these people are saying, this is a down year. But yeah, I mean, Detroit, third year in a row, you're the worst team in the NBA.
Yeah,
and you get the 5th pick in the draft 3 years in a row.
Yeah, it's a tough break. It's a tough break for Cade Cunningham too. I mean, to be drafted and hope to be the building block for a rebuild and to still be where they've been, it's not great. You mentioned this earlier. It was a good sports day for you yesterday. For Ricky, who is one of the biggest Thunder fans I've ever seen. I'm telling you, this dude lives and breathes Thunder basketball. He's got to know, what are your thoughts on the series so far?
I mean, I'm happy. Up 2-1. It's been a very good series. It's just, I don't know. It seems like SGA hasn't showed up in the fourth quarter of the last couple of games like he should for a guy that finished second in the MVP voting. He's kind of, I don't know. It seemed like he just, I don't know. It's hard to explain it. It's just like he really hasn't put himself in that position where he's just going to go and take over in the fourth quarter. And that's with the Mavs. Luka, he's pretty hobbled. He didn't have a great game. Kyrie
he's not been shooting very well.
Yeah, Kyrie's had had two pretty bad games the last couple, last 2 games, and somehow the Mavs have still pulled it out. So I don't know. I think the Mavs right now are feeling pretty confident with the way they're playing because you said you've had 2 games where Kyrie scored 9 points in game 2 and you still win. Mm-hmm. And then he scores 20, but 16 of them were in the fourth quarter and you win. And Luka just absolutely was so bad yesterday, efficiency wise. So I think the Mavs are feeling pretty comfortable right now, but I don't think that they can get super comfortable because we know this Thunder's team, they can lock you down whenever they can. They can lock you down.
So that's my biggest take is I knew that they were going to lose that second game when they couldn't get a stop. I mean, Dallas just went on a roll. I almost said Detroit because we've been talking about Detroit too much. Dallas went on a roll and just couldn't be stopped. Gave up 119 points, which the Thunder had not done. They hadn't given up over 100 in the playoffs, and here we were, 119. It's pretty rough. Here's the X factor. These 2 games, it's PJ. PJ Washington has absolutely been electric from beyond the arc. If the Thunder can't stop, because here's the thing, he's bridged that gap of these. When you talk about Luka been able to shoot the ball very well. Kyrie's been off. This is the dude that's been carrying that team with. He's in the starting lineups. Isn't like he's coming off the bench, but he is absolutely outperforming what he's supposed to be doing. But this is what you do in the playoffs. You got to have these role players that do that. So I think if you're the Thunder, you got to take out him. And that's weird because when looking at this series again, I'm not watching a whole lot of basketball all these days, but when it comes to playoffs, I'm very engaged with it. And I thought the star power that Dallas had was going to give Oklahoma City fits. And right now it's not the star power, it's PJ Washington, which some people could call him a star. His parents probably think he's a star, but maybe not me. And
also, is many shots as Lively has missed at the basket and Gafford, those 2 have played really good on the inside, and they have given Chet a lot of problems on the pick and rolls and the lobs at the basket, and it has been a big issue. So they are slowing down Luka and Kyrie for the most part because they're doubling them and trying to get the ball in their hand. But the problem is when they do that, they're leaving the wide open, the corner threes open, which the Dallas has been knocking down really consistently, and then the rolls to the basket to the bigs. And so they're going to have to figure something out defensively. Maybe they don't help off of Luka, onto Luka and Kyrie, and they just go, okay, let's just play them straight up and not allow the role players to beat us like we had the last 2 games.
Yeah, no, I feel that. My biggest problem right now in the NBA playoffs overall is the amount of blowouts. This has been the thing the last couple of years. I mean, even today, the Pacers 121-89 over the Knicks.
Yeah,
I don't understand what's going on with that. Denver, Minnesota tonight probably going to be. I mean, potentially be a blowout. The Thunder rarely have had. They've had a couple.
Yeah. I mean, they beat the Mavs first game by 20 points.
Yeah. So I don't know. Just a thought. Any of the series that really been kind of pulling some of your attention or focus? I mean, Boston's still doing Boston things. They're up 2-1 after yesterday.
I've watched a little bit of the Timberwolves Nuggets series, but not really. I mean, I'm a Mavs fan, so I've just been watching the Mavs. Thunder.
No fear for Boston after they did lose Game 2 to Cleveland. No, I know. It's like a blip.
No, they should easily make it to the finals with the way the East is right now. I mean, the Knicks aren't healthy. Pacers, they tied up the series, but they're not super healthy. Halliburton's pretty hobbled, so whoever they get in the next round, they should easily beat both of those teams. Yeah. And then just whoever's going to, whoever they'll face in the West, Nuggets, Mavs, Thunder, or Timberwolves.
Yeah. So when it comes this year with the NBA, they've had a lot of coaching changes, and that's what happens, as the season ends for so many of the teams. The Suns just hired a new head coach after the disaster season that they had. I don't think they're looking at the team roster that they have and some of the familiar faces of former failed teams in recent years. I'm not calling any names. I'm just saying that's been a commonality. The Lakers are on the search right now. I mean, how important is the head coaching role in today's NBA? The way the game is played with the players.
I think it's probably pretty important, honestly, just because you look at the teams that are there, still in the playoffs and have won, over the last few years. They have a good leader, as their head coach. You look at Steve Kerr, how many championships they won over the last few years. You have the Nuggets, Mike Malone, great head coach, and the Celtics, Missoula. He was a big reason why they were able to do it, what they've been doing the last few years. And the reason why whenever Udoka got in trouble, they weren't panicked. They were like, "Oh, we're good. We got Missoula here. He's going to, be able to come in." Yeah. Jason Kidd, he's taken the Mavs to the Western Conference Finals before, and I'm not the biggest Jason Kidd fan, head coaching wise, but he's still a solid head coach. My biggest problem is just at this point, these teams keep on listening to guys like Kevin Durant and LeBron James and James Harden, all these people, and you're going, okay, this is who I want as my head coach, and then a year later, it's like, oh, we don't want him. He's not any good. We won't play for that guy no more. When are we going to stop listening to these guys about who they want as their head coach and go out there and hire who, the ownership believes is the best, or, the GM believes is the best. And if those players don't like it, then they can, we'll find, a different place for you, because LeBron James has had how many head coaches? The only head coach I can think of that has lasted at the same spot he was whenever LeBron James was there is Eric Spoelstra. Eric Spoelstra is the only one that lasted, and that was because Pat Riley, Spoelstra and LeBron started butting heads his last couple of years in Miami. And he went to Pat Riley and said, I don't know if I can play for this guy. And Pat Riley basically said, I'm keeping Spoelstra. So if you can't handle that, if you can't handle that, then maybe you'll have to go somewhere else. That's the only person that's ever stood up to LeBron and went, okay, we're not going to give you what you want. And all he's done is just, went through coach after coach after coach, because he's like, oh, never mind. I don't like that one. Nope, I don't like that one. When are we going to stop listening to these guys? Because obviously they're the problem. They are the problem. And same thing with Kevin Durant. We saw the whole thing, the whole situation in Brooklyn, and now we're seeing it in Phoenix. It's getting to the point where you're just like, okay, we've seen that it fails, so maybe we shouldn't listen to these guys anymore. I don't care how good you are. Maybe we shouldn't listen to you, because maybe you're the problem and it's not the head coach.
Yeah. Well, whenever the Suns lost, I think it was 2021 in the finals, I was like, well, that was your window. Gone.
Yeah.
And here we are, looking for another coach in another year. I do agree. I think, we weren't going to name names, and here we are. You're like, you know what? That's the problem. Let's fix it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. I'm not a LeBron hater. I just need you to know this. Is this player a Hall of Famer? And that's not LeBron, but this player. 2 championship rings, 2 final MVPs, 1 defensive player of the year, 1 MVP in the regular season, 3 all-time defensive teams, 9 scoring titles, 3 steals, and 2 slam dunk titles, just for fun. Is that a Hall of Famer, you think?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what Michael Jordan has in addition to everything else that LeBron has right now. Did you look? That's a Hall of Fame resume that LeBron, anybody that thinks LeBron is better than Michael Jordan, stop it. I just found a Hall of Fame resume within a Hall of Fame resume.
Yeah. And
come on.
Another thing is, like, everyone wants to talk about, LeBron is all-time leader in scoring, points and stuff like that. Go back and look through 15 seasons who has the most points out of LeBron James and Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan had more points through 15 seasons than LeBron James did. So if they played the same amount of time, and that's with Michael Jordan taking off a couple seasons because he retired and went and played baseball. So
yep.
At that point, if he plays as many seasons as LeBron James has played, he has more points. And I've done the math. I've done, based off his career average, he would be somewhere around 2,000 to 3,000 points ahead of LeBron James as of right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that people try to throw that out there, like, he's the greatest scorer of all time because he has the most points. Stop. That's not it. Michael Jordan is the greatest player to ever play the game of basketball. There's no argument. LeBron's not even number 2.
Yeah. I'm trying to find out what year did the scoring change. It really began to transition in the early 90s because people are always like, it's inflated. And it is inflated towards LeBron, the era that they have now. But by the mid to late 90s, it was, you were going to slugfest to get above 95. That's why whenever we were, growing up and you're like 5, 4, it's 99 to 98 every single time, right? Yeah. It's not 110 to 115, but nothing wrong with scoring. I love the scoring. That's just the facts. So,
but I also like defense.
Yeah, I do miss it. So, so you look at that, not really big. Coaching carousel is still going to happen. NBA season, we still got a month and a half left, which is crazy. So, anyway, how about this? It's softball season. You talk about Oklahoma State got upset by BYU, which was absolutely crazy. Only for OU to go ahead and run rule BYU. Run rule, right? Wasn't that run rule?
Yeah.
Yeah, 13-2, and then to face Texas, which is what I think all expected in the championship game for the Big 12 softball, which is the powerhouse of softball. It really is.
Yeah, it really is.
This has been an up and down year for Oklahoma. As they head into the Women's College World Series, are they still the favorite, or would you take the field?
No, Oklahoma is still the favorite until someone beats them in the tournament. I don't know if you saw the stat, but right now, Oklahoma's seniors on this team have the 3rd most College World Series ever. Just the seniors alone.
Wow.
So it tells you this team, they know how to win. Even if this is a down year for Oklahoma, and they're still, right now, they're number 2 technically because they got the number 2 overall seed. I don't know how you just beat Texas, who is the number 1 overall seed. I don't get it, but hey, still Oklahoma, they know how to play, and right now it seems like they're hitting their stride offensively, which has been an up and down thing for them this year. But it's like whenever they lose a game or two, you see them revert back to the dominant Oklahoma that we've known, and I think it kind of played out good for them. Yeah, they lost the series to Oklahoma State, and then we saw that final game of that series, Oklahoma's offense just absolutely explode, and they haven't missed a stride since. So I think for teams that were hoping Oklahoma was, they're, a little down this year, they're not happy right now seeing Oklahoma's offense hit their stride. So they're probably going, man, we wish this would have happened a couple weeks ago. They maybe cool off. Ella Parker, freshman, I think she was 7 for 9 in the Big 12 tournament and just absolutely raked. So they're fine. I still think that they are the favorites to win because you've won 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
You're the best until someone beats you.
That's true. That's why Alabama's always ranked when the rankings come out, and you're like, well, are they really? Yeah, no, they are.
Yep.
Until they get beat. I will say they've done a lot of good for women's softball. The amount of programs that are out there, even transfer portals has helped out a lot, even from the OU program, whether it's, their catcher, the pitcher, obviously going to Nebraska. I mean, there's multiple players who are going back home or, finishing out their college career somewhere else, and it's helped the game have a lot more. And so, maybe you're trying to get into it. ESPN Plus, great way to find all these games. It's been a lot of fun to watch, and they're really entertaining. Just do that. I will say they got to make it easier to consume the product. Same thing with the UFL. Make it easier for me to find these box scores. It's so hard.
Yeah, the box scores for UFL is ridiculous, but we won't get into that. But I think with Nick Saban retiring, I think right now Patty Gasso is the best coach in all college sports. And she's so dominant in what she has done with this program. I mean, 7 national championships in the last 20 years, 6 of them in the last, decade, 3 of them in a row. They are so dominant. And like you said, they have taken the game of softball and put it in the limelight. And now we're starting to see professional leagues, pop up, and it's really starting to move the game forward. And then people complain about how dominant Oklahoma has been. But if Oklahoma wasn't as dominant as they were right now, the game of softball wouldn't be where it is.
Yeah. It's different in the timeline in the actual narrative of the sport itself. Like Alabama dominated the last 15 years with Nick Saban was different. Like, they dominated. They didn't necessarily bring the product of college football up. It was already there. But this definitely catapulted it up. And I think you're going to have programs like, even next year with Texas and Oklahoma leaving the Big 12, you're going to have Oklahoma State, who in a very good new Big 12 softball, they're going to have an opportunity against Utah, who's a really good team. You're going to, I mean, obviously you're not going to USC, UCLA, and
you get Arizona.
Oregon.
One of the most historic softball programs in softball history.
Yeah, where did Stanford go? They go to the Big Ten?
ACC.
Gross. Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah.
Them and Cal.
Yeah. It totally makes sense.
Yeah, right.
All right, so you mentioned this Gasso and the coaching. So I put this in the show notes for those who are following along. I got to know. So we can put this right now. Who are the best coaches? Give me maybe your top 3 coaches in college sports right now. I know it's incredibly hard, so give you a second. But just think of the programs, culture, championships. Length is also, I think, something you got to consider as well. How long have they been doing and succeeding? So,
man,
who do you got?
I mean, I already said I think Patty is the best. Number 2. Man, that is tough. I think Dawn Staley, what she has done at South Carolina, and as dominant as they've been over the last few years, I think right now Dawn Staley is in that discussion. I think I'll put Dawn Staley too.
Taking Dawn over Gino.
If we're talking right now,
I do agree right now, but you can also take into consideration length. That's all I'm saying.
If we're talking that, then it's definitely Gino.
Okay.
Because Gino is, the greatest
forever.
Yeah, women's coach, basketball wise. Man, I'm trying to think. It's tough after that because, I mean, you look at OU, and I know it's going to sound homerish, but you look at OU women's gymnastics. What AJ Kindler has done with OU women's gymnastics. How many national championships that they've won over the last 5 or 6 years. It's hard to not say them. I would say John Smith, Oklahoma State wrestling head coach, but he just retired. I'm going to go Penn State wrestling coach. I don't know the name, but I'm going to go Penn State wrestling coach. What he has done these last few years, that he has put them as the most dominant wrestling team. They broke the record this year for most points in a national championship, and they blew the number out of the water. They beat it by like 40 points, which is huge.
Cale Sanderson.
Yeah, I think
he
Cale Sanderson. Wrestling.
Yeah.
We're talking all sports. Yeah, give me Cal Sanderson.
Yeah, they had the NCAA championship wrestling here, the tournament here, and I saw Penn State, Iowa. I saw a lot of Big Ten.
Yeah,
I saw a lot of Penn State, so it does not surprise me that he is up there. I love those picks. I love that also you went outside the major sports, and I think so. That's going to lead me into this next segue. So wait a minute, dude, you're just on a roll right now. When you look at the college football world right now, you didn't say any of those names. One, because Nick Saban has retired, and it's a bit of a changing season right now. I mean, you even had Jim Harbaugh, who some may argue he's built up a program. He does it in the long run, not necessarily the big flashy run, but he's done it in the long run. So you can't really choose him anymore. But I would love to know. I mean, as you go into, and we just had spring football's season, and we are 3 months away, May, June, July. Yeah, 3 months away right now from, hey, we're almost to week 0 of the college football year. So what a better time than now to go ahead and talk about who are the best college football coaches right now.
I mean, obviously Kirby's the best now.
Yeah,
I mean, with Saban gone, Kirby is far and away head and arms and shoulders and waist. I mean, he's so much further ahead of everyone else right now. And after that, it's really difficult to to put it up there because we've seen Dabo fall off the last couple of years. Clemson hasn't been as dominant.
Real quick on Dabo Swinney, how many transfers did he take this year?
0.
Can you name me the other 3 schools that didn't take in any transfers this year in FBS?
No.
I can give you a ballpark. They're all the same.
They're all the same?
Yeah. There are 3 schools that all have the same restrictions. Like, okay.
I guess
Army, Navy,
oh my gosh.
Air Force, and Clemson. No transfers.
That's, yeah.
So, I agree. Definitely not updated with the time, so he's fallen behind a little bit. But all right, continue on.
Yeah. And I'm not bought into the Ryan Day. I think Ryan Day has very underwhelmed. I think that he played off the back of what Urban Meyer was able to build that
started on
roster.
good base.
They have slowly gotten worse each year.
Yeah.
I'm still not ready to buy in on Sark. I think that Sarkisian, I still need to see it because before this year, your record was like, 15 and 16. Yeah. At through the first couple seasons. I do like Kalen DeBoer, but I still need to see it more.
Yeah.
I put Matt Rule up there. I think Matt Rule is one of the best coaches in college football.
That, yeah.
And it's the history about it. This year, no one expected Nebraska to win as many games as they did. With what they had quarterback-wise, I think he's starting to build this program to where maybe not this year we see them, take this big, stride, but the year after, we're going to see them get close to that 10-win mark. And maybe we're seeing Nebraska become Nebraska again and be competitive in sports. So I think that it's hard to really put a number 2 because I saw the rankings that you put on there, the link. Brian Kelly, number 2, is absolutely insane.
And this dude also has not updated with the times.
No.
Like, we're not going to pay anybody. Yeah, okay, but you better if you're at LSU, but they can't afford anybody. Anyway.
Yeah. Kyle Whittingham, I think – I don't know. I think I put Kyle Whittingham number 2 because he has consistently done a good job every single year. And, yeah, last year they had a down year, 8 wins, whatever. But that was without your starting quarterback. They didn't have Cam Rising at all last year. This year they're coming into the Big 12. They have Cam Rising returning. I think that I think they should easily win this conference because of Kyle Whittingham, Cam Rising, the defense that they always bring to the table. Mm-hmm. They're going to be a really physical team. I think Lance Leipold, I think what he's done at Kansas is, I think he is.
And he stayed.
I love what he has done. I think he's the most underrated coach right now in college football. That he doesn't get enough recognition for what he has done with the worst program in college football over the last decade, and then he comes in and makes them a contender in the Big 12 next year. I mean, if Jalen Daniels stays healthy, to me, they're the team that will compete against Utah for that Big 12 title because Jalen Daniels is a difference maker on the field when he is healthy. And I think
not been healthy though.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem for him is the
health. Who's your backup? How good their backup is will matter big time.
Yes, yeah, no, and Bean is not there. Bean it ran out of years. So they will have a different kid, backing up. But yeah, it's hard to rank them after those few guys because I haven't seen enough from these guys consistently that are there. Like you said, I think that Ryan Day has very underwhelmed. Sarkisian hasn't done it long enough.
Yeah.
Kalen DeBoer quite hasn't done it long enough. So I need to see more from these guys before I go, yeah, they are, right there with them, because Kirby has proven it already that he is, the best in college football right now.
Brian Kelly, stock down. DeBoer, I'm saying slightly down because he's going to Alabama, and he did lose some transfers. And honestly, following the greatest coach in college football history, it's not something I would want to do. You got a great place built up. But one of the things that Nick Saban's wife said when he realized it was time was these kids aren't worried. These parents aren't worried about how am I going to take care of your son like they used to be when they started. They're worried about what can you get my son? What NIL deals and stuff. And that's just the game today. There's nothing, that's just part of it. And for Nick Saban and his family and, the coaching staff, they're like, I just don't want to do this anymore. Agree. Ryan Day definitely he's done the inverse of what Jim Harbaugh did.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit less, just a little bit, but they get great recruits, especially the skill positions, so they're always going to stay up there. There's one on here. This list I sent you. So for those who are wondering, the list that sparked this was On 3. They did a list, and they do a lot of stuff. Lane Kiffin, top 10. I'm fine with that because they have turned a program around that had their most wins in history. I didn't understand Dan Lanning not being higher. The way he has built – I mean, this is Oregon. For those who didn't know, he coaches at Oregon. This is a team that has had great recruits and really good teams in the past. But he is doing something different there than what we've seen even. He's not taking just pure speed and talent and stuff like and scheming for that. He's just going and getting some of the best athletes out there. And I think at 11 for him, I thought was definitely too low.
Yeah, definitely. And like that list, I liked more of the guys in the 11 to 20 range than I did the top 10.
Yeah, you loved Mike Gundy, didn't you? 14, you thought that was great?
Okay. No, but I think Mike Gundy, though, is, rightfully in that, conversation for what he has done with Oklahoma State and what he does with less. I'm not a Mike Gundy fan. I think Mike Gundy is overrated, but I think that he rightly deserves to be in there because what he has done at Oklahoma State.
I'm going to say part of the reason why you say he's done more with less is his fault.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't go out and recruit for beans. He doesn't care anymore to recruit. And it's obvious when he – but, hey, you know what? That's where Gavin Freeman went, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. Just get
leftovers.
It'll be good. Matt Rule, I think we talked about him earlier. You said that. The one on this list that made the cut, and I'm worried for him because his program is in shambles, was Jonathan Smith, who went from Oregon State, which totally makes sense to leave Oregon State with what is going on with the Pac-12 no longer existing. Michigan State, though, that was the one that you went to, I think, was kind of a gamble. Yeah. Because he was one of the earlier ones that signed, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So
he was.
That's just a tough one. But I don't know. I'm a homer. Eli Drinkwitz, also Missouri, great. Missouri's done a good job the last couple of years and they believe their window's open, and they've done a good job recruiting. We'll see what that does. Miami's been saying that for years.
Yeah.
So is Texas A&M. It's different here. Brent Venables, nothing, not even a mention. Rebuilding a culture, and yet you're going to give Lincoln Riley, who all we can give him credit for is 11-2 seasons, 3 number 1 overall draft picks, which is awesome if you're in the NFL. But as a college program, what has he done? What are we talking about?
Him and Ryan Day are basically the same person. It's what they are.
Yeah.
Just because they do the same thing. They took over programs that were already built and were built to win right then and there. And all they have done was slowly tear down the culture and make them worse. And that's exactly what they have done. And Lincoln Riley to me is nowhere a top 10 coach right now. Top 15 is pushing it. Brent Venables, I know, I get it because the first season, the 6 wins. But last year we have double-digit wins, so you can't really fault him there. And I think that taking him into the SEC, I think he's got them in a great spot early on.
I can't wait to look at. I want to see this list this time next year.
But Dan Lanning, I forgot that Dan Lanning. Dan Lanning is definitely up there because he is. I may sound crazy. I think right now they are the best. Oregon right now is the best team in college football. If I'm looking at it on
over Georgia,
right now,
Georgia, who should have been in the playoff and would have trounced everybody.
Oregon lost a lot of players. They lost a lot too, and they've been able to replenish and stuff like that. But I don't know. There's something about what Dan Lanning has done, and now you get Dylan Gabriel, a legit 6-year senior, come in, run your offense. You're not going to miss a beat when it comes on the offensive side between him and Bo Nix, and he has done such a good job recruiting, not just high school but also in the transfer portal, going out and getting a guy like Evan Smith to replace Troy Franklin, who Evan Smith I think has all the potential to be a first-round pick next year, in the draft. I love what he has done, and I think that you're doing it in a much easier setting in the Big Ten because I think Michigan will be down this year. I think Ohio State will be down this year. And those are your two best teams in that conference. If they're down, you have the opportunity to come in right off the bat first year in the Big Ten. I think you have a chance to come in and nab that right off the bat.
All right, so that's a great point. They do have one of the best college football quarterbacks. I think we both agree that this is the ceiling for Dylan Gabriel, at least with his skill set. He could honestly, this guy could go out and do some pretty cool things. I think at the UFL.
Yeah,
there, but he is really good. Give me his stat line. What do you predict if he's healthy the whole year? What would you say Dylan Gabriel would look at? And I can give you some reference numbers if that helps, because last year he had 3,600 yards passing, 9.5 yards per completion, which was pretty good, and then 30 and 6 on touchdowns plus 12 rushing touchdowns. In comparison, Bo Nix had only 6 rushing touchdowns, but he's averaged 10 the last 2 years, and Bo Nix had 9.6, so very same ballpark, yards per attempt or completion, and 4,500 yards with 45 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think that we see him get real close. I say he'll have 4,200 yards passing, 38 touchdown passing, and probably somewhere around 10 or so rushing touchdowns.
And who won the Heisman this last year?
Jaden Daniels.
Okay. Where did Bo Nix finish?
Was it second or third?
So here's my question is, we're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
With what we know now, there's no Jaden Daniels, right? There's no Caleb Williams. There's still Carson Beck. I get, okay. How, if we look up and all of a sudden Oklahoma's seeing Dylan Gabriel in his grad transfer year, Heisman candidate, isn't that insane?
I think that right now, for me, he's the favorite to win it.
The favorite. Wow.
Yeah. I don't know what betting has him, but I think right now, for me, if I was to say who would win, I think I would put my money right now on him as the favorite to win it, because I think that he has every opportunity to do that right now.
Yeah, right now they have Beck and Quinn above him.
I don't see Beck. I don't see him being able to put up enough numbers, because that's not what that offense is about. And I don't know. I think Texas, for me, I think a lot of people are putting a lot on what Texas did last year and aren't looking at what happened to Texas after this last year, because you look at that offense and you lose your top 5 weapons. You lose Worthy, you lose A.D. Mitchell, you lose Jatavian Sanders, you lose Whittington, and you lose Brooks. You lose your starting right tackle and your starting center. That is a lot of players to replace in your starting lineup for a team that just went to the playoffs, and that's not including losing your 2 starting interior defensive linemen, your starting linebacker, and 5 guys that played significant amount of time in the secondary. This team is replacing a lot of people, and granted, they do have a very easy schedule going into the SEC. I think that there may be somewhat of a backtick because you have lost a lot, and I think both of us, Quinn got better last year compared to the year before, I think, for the most part. But I don't think that he got considerably better to where you go, he can lead that team no matter what, and he's going to be effective. You get a couple guys, and I know they did great in the transfer portal. You got a guy like Isaiah Bond from Alabama, but you lost so much on that offense, and you're expecting that offense just to immediately be good because you have Quinn Ewers, I think is kind of irrational, because I don't think Quinn Ewers is a guy like a Caleb Williams or a Bryce Young or Trevor Lawrence or, Jaden Daniels that can take over a team no matter what the pieces are there, because they are that good.
Yeah, well, and I don't know if you watched any of the highlights from the spring game. I did watch Arch Manning because I was very curious. So one, Quinn, if you have any kind of hesitation, any rattler in you, watch out. Keep that head on the swivel, because Arch Manning, he looked good, but I will say there's some bad coverage. My Texas Tech, I don't know if it was first or second string that Arch was throwing against, but it was not great. You tell me which one is the most ridiculous Heisman favorite right now. As of today, again, it's all going to change. Why not throw it out there? We already had Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, Dylan Gabriel. Those are the three we already mentioned. Jalen Milroe, Jackson Dart, Garrett Nussmeier, Nico over at Tennessee, Cam Ward, DJ Ngualale, or my favorite, Will Howard.
Yeah.
He is fifth.
Yeah, no, Will Howard's definitely not there. It's not that good of a. He can't pass the ball well enough. DJ definitely not there. I think Jackson Dart could surprise some people this year. I think Jackson has the ability, and they have an easier schedule. They did a really good job recruiting in the transfer portal, where that they have a chance, to be one of those teams that could potentially push for a playoff spot if they don't get in their own way. But I think he has a chance. Like I said, I think the guy, and I'm going to say it again, I think the guy to watch out for is Jalen Daniels. If he's healthy, the kid is an absolute playmaker, and you got a much easier Big 10 or Big 12 than you've had, because you don't have Oklahoma and you don't have Texas in there. And I think the teams coming in, Arizona State, they're nothing to worry about. I think Colorado, I don't think their defense is anywhere close to being able to, slow anyone down. Arizona, you've got some good pieces there, but now you're having to fix some things because your head coach and a bunch of your coaches have left. So there's some difference there. I think Oklahoma State's going to be a little about what they've been. I don't know about Kansas State, because of, they had a lot of turnover on that roster. You got a new quarterback this year, which he put up some decent numbers as a freshman last year. But I think if he's healthy, I think Jalen Daniels has the chance to put up Jaden Daniels type numbers. Yeah.
No, I like that. I like everyone's like, wait, didn't he just get drafted number 2?
Right.
Different guy. Don't really. But Ole Miss, when you talk about them, their schedule, they're going to go into probably Oklahoma, which is late October, ranked high, because they have Furman, Middle Tennessee, Wake Forest, Georgia Southern, Kentucky, South Carolina, at LSU, which is tough. I get that, but then Oklahoma, and then they got Georgia in 2 weeks. And then obviously Mississippi State to end the years. So they're gonna have every opportunity to put themselves in a great position. I will say it is weird, and we are to that point now where if I'm looking at future schedules, I'm not saying, because it's every single schedule. If you hit that on ESPN, got to hit SEC to narrow that sucker down. Not Big 12.
Nope, no looking at Big 12 no more, unless you just want to see Oklahoma State with an L next to their name. But that's about it.
We'll see. It's going to be great. All right, so we have a couple of football questions just for fun, because again, it's that time of the off season. So we won't get to all of them because we're already at 43 minutes, and we still got a little bit of baseball to get to. But I want to know who, because we've already kind of talked about top college quarterbacks, so let's go ahead and skip that one. But give me your favorite duos since 2010 in college football.
I mean,
I think favorite or best. You can give me both, whichever, if they're different.
I think that you automatically have to put up Baker and D.D. Westbrook 2016. You had two guys, Heisman Trophy, in New York. It was a great season. Heisman Trophy, third place, fourth place, won Willitnikoff Award. Baker probably should have been a little bit higher in the Heisman voting, just saying, but that was definitely a great one to see. The Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson trio, not even a duo.
Unfair.
Trio of what they had there. I mean, that was so fun to watch. To see that Brandon Weeding to Justin Blackman. That was an exciting. As much as I don't like Oklahoma State, I mean, Justin Blackman is one of the most dominant wide receivers I've seen in college football history. That span, back-to-back Litnikoff awards.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you just look at it and you go, man, what if?
Mm-hmm.
What if, what his NFL career could have been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I saw a list, and because I was curious, I was like, "Oh, what are some of the ones they had?" Some of the running backs for Alabama. Some of the times their running back rooms were just NFL rooms, and it was insane. There was one point. I mean, this is the funny one because this one was great in college and trash in the NFL. Eddie Lacy and T.J. Yeldon, they dominated in the early 2010s. Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, and Mac Jones all on the same team. I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, you're obviously not playing all three. Something wrong, but that was an incredible one. The running backs, the one that made me think of when I think of great college running backs, there's one school I typically think of for all-time records. Do you know what it is? Wisconsin. Because since 2010, they've had these guys that will carry the ball 412 times and get 35 touchdowns, and because that's just what they do. Melvin Gordon with James White. I mean, that's a really solid college backfield right there. Two very different style of running backs. And then what was the other one? Monty Ball. Didn't he have one?
Yeah, Monty Ball. That year he had.
I can't remember who he had.
Sony
Michel and Nick Chubb was the other one.
Yeah.
From Georgia. That was unstoppable against Oklahoma. They were so good.
Joe Mixon, Samaje Perine. I mean,
also
2016 season again. You had both running backs over 1,000 yards rushing.
Yeah. What's weird is when I think of dynamic duos duos or period, I think of quarterbacks and wide receivers. Yeah, right. Maybe a running back quarterback combo in the NFL, but in college it's different. You can have the two running backs and stuff like that. We didn't really talk about the defensive side of it because it's a little bit tough, but you can just put Iowa linebackers, Iowa tight ends,
What mid 2010 LSU defensive backs.
It's true. Tyron.
Yeah, Tyron.
Honey Badger.
Yeah.
Those are some of the fun ones when I look back on it. But we got. I don't know. Do you have any other college things that you want to hit before we go into some Major League Baseball?
No, I don't think I got nothing.
All right, so Major League Baseball news. Here we go. Let's go. So we got Mike Trout had his surgery officially. So he said he could have played through the pain, but what's the point when you're California, when you're an Anaheim Angel? Don't blame him on that one. But over the last couple of weeks, we've seen, the Phillies. I mean, we talked about last week. They have just been on an absolute heater. I finally got in my fantasy league. I finally got Jesus Luzardo back, who hasn't been good this year. But I thought I saw who his matchup was because I was like, oh, nice, I can put him back in. Nope, it's the Phillies. But he did do pretty well, I will say.
Yeah.
8 strikeouts to 1 walk. But there's no way. I mean, that team has been insane.
Yeah, and they're doing this all right now without Trey Turner.
I know.
Yeah. I just think when he gets back in that lineup, geez.
Yeah, and you're in the Dodgers lineup. Dodgers are looking like the Dodgers. That little hiccup that they had about a couple weeks ago for a week and a half or whatever, they're already at plus 74 on the run differential. Which no one else is even plus 60. Well, I guess the Phillies are 62, but
yeah, that top part of that offense is just Betts, Shohei, Freeman, Will Smith, Teoscar Hernandez, Max Muncy. Jeez. And then they bring up Andy Pages. All he's done is just hit since he's been up too. So yeah, now you're really just talking about 2 guys as of right now in the lineup that you're like, man, they're not hitting. So darn, just 2.
The random the random all-star and the former with the Dodgers are at this point. The Padres though have snuck into second place and kind of solidified themselves a little bit there recently. Them and the Diamondbacks are still the main competition in that division. Any one of those you're more worried about since we talked about Corbin Carroll last week?
I'm still gonna say the Diamondbacks because I don't think that they played their best ball early on, and we've seen what they can do and what they did last year. I think that they could still be a dangerous team because I feel like the pitching hasn't really pitched up to their standards. Gallen hasn't been as dominant as he's been over the last couple of years. Merrill Kelly, kind of the same thing. I feel like the starting rotation hasn't been as good as I expected it to be right off the bat, and I think that can get a lot better. I think they still have what it takes to give the Dodgers a run for their money. The Padres have beat the Dodgers so far during the couple of series that they played against each other, but I'm still not quite worried about them. I don't think that they have the rotation or the bullpen right now, because their bullpen outside of Suarez is got a 5 ERA as a team, so it's not anything special. So I think that their rotation, the bullpen, are going to be the biggest questions for them. So I'm going to still give it the lean to the Diamondbacks. So I still think they're a little bit more scary.
And who are you more disappointed in this year? The Cincinnati Reds, who as of now are 17-23 with a -5 run differential, which would tell you that they should be closer to 500, of course, or the Toronto Blue Jays, who are 18-22, very similar record, but they're at -47 in the run differential. Bigger disappointment.
For me, I'm going to say the Reds, and I know people are going to say that's weird, but I picked the Reds to win that division. Yeah. And so for them to not being off to such a great start, I wasn't on the Blue Jays this year. I felt like there was something off about them, and it seems like there's just something weird going on within that organization that I don't know. It just seems like the whole team seems off, even with the star power that they've had and the decent pitching that they have there. Still, there's something different. I expected more from the Reds as of right now. I felt like maybe the young youth would kind of bring in this new, that energy. Feeling that you had, the energy that they had, partway through the season last year when they kind of brought up everyone, when they brought McClain and Ellie and Steer and all these kids, and they started bringing this different energy. It doesn't seem like the energy's quite there right now. And so I think that for me, is a little disappointing that they haven't quite, lived up to my expectations of what I thought they could do.
And they lost 10 of 11, including being swept by the Orioles and Padres. Well, they didn't get swept by the Padres. They lost 2 of 3. But Diamondbacks, Orioles got swept, and they just won 1 against the Giants and the Padres. So that's a pretty rough go of it. Hopefully they regress closer to the mean of we're not getting swept everything. But as of now, they're a game ahead of the Cardinals, who are in dead last in that division, which is not a good sign. If the Cardinals have played as bad as they have, this is a team, like you said, Cincinnati, that has a lot of excitement around the team. Forgot Ellie. Every home run I see Ellie hit is from the left side. I forgot he can switch it.
Yeah,
really forgot. I saw the game today against the Giants. I was like, wait, what? He's better than O'Neal Cruz. Got it. Okay, remember that. Looking at that, and then at the flip side for the Toronto, I don't know. It's like the pieces of the puzzle don't fit.
Yeah.
But they should, because remember when they brought up their 4 Hall of Fame sons, right? It was like, this is it. We got it. We got the obviously good pitching, and then it just seems like it hasn't clicked. We, for the last probably 2+ years, or since the existence of this podcast, we have really said the AL Central is a terrible division. And if you look up right now, outside the White Sox, who are terrible, who just beat the Cardinals last week, 2 out of 3. They are all above 500 or better, including the Royals at 25-17, the Twins, who are 8 above 500, and the Cleveland Guardians, who are still doing just crazy stuff. But the Royals have the best run differential.
Yeah.
Is this a 3-headed monster that we're going to see this summer?
I don't know about 3-headed monster. I feel like I saw something, and I meant to send it to you, but it was like talking about the difficulty, like schedule difficulty so far. And all those teams were at the top of the easiest when it came to the schedule. So I think that maybe the Royals, maybe you can kind of look at that and go, the run differential with what they've been doing, maybe they're the more potent team. And it might be a little crazy to say with what the Twins have done, as of late, but the Twins haven't really played a whole lot. Neither have any of the teams, but out of all those teams, the Royals have been the ones scoring the most, and they have had the harder schedule out of all the other teams.
Yeah, I was trying to find them. Yeah, they're all 3 on the bottom, on the top 10 as far as, well, at least 2 of them are on the top 10. So it's a good point. It has the Cardinals pretty in the bottom 10, but I disagree. And can you please go back to that couple? that scheduled the games. Whatever this is awful. And please, I'm also a fan. Give me more divisional games. I miss having 19 divisional games. I think it was 19. Stupid compared to the 14 that we have now. I miss it a ton. It's just different. It gives more rivalry.
The Dodgers and Padres. I think after like middle of June, they're pretty much done until like the last weekend of the season or something like that, because they're getting close already to their 14 games. They started out the season in Korea, and then I want to say they played a couple over in the States, and then they just finished up a series. So they're already somewhere around 8 or 9 games in in their season against each other.
Yeah, well, if it's crazy. The Cardinals' last series against the Cubs ends the first week of August.
Yeah, that's just weird.
This is like MLB The Show made everybody's schedules.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they're like, oh yeah, we need 14 games. Might as well put all 6 here, and we'll put 2 more here. And that's weird. Like to me, the last month should almost be jam packed with only divisional games. Like that's in a perfect world. It's why in the NFL it's divisional games last week, because it means so much. It just adds that much fuel to the fire. Why not do that with baseball when you're going down the home stretch anyway? I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Baseball's got a lot of stuff to work on. They just don't get it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like that. That's what happened last year in the AL West. You had the Rangers at the top, but then you had the final stretch where the Astros played the Mariners, and they played the Rangers, and they played the Angels, all in that last like couple weeks. Had 3-game series, or maybe 4-game series against these teams, and it eventually propelled them to win the division, even after they were a little bit behind, and it almost pushed the Rangers completely out of the the playoffs. So I want to see. Yeah, I agree. I think at the very end of the season, or the whole month of September, it should basically just be a bunch of divisional games and have them fight out from there.
Yeah, it'd also be less travel for most of these teams outside the Colorado Rockies. It was just incredible. Imagine the fan bases. I'm sorry, we're just going to fix baseball. The W Sports Podcast, we're here for you, baseball, and you're not here for us.
Yeah, just Rob Manfred, scoot over.
Yeah. So two last things we want to hit before we wrap up the show today. So one, unless you have something else, but number one is the Contreras injury. It's not about Cardinals. This is about what more and more catchers are doing. There's another interference call again in the game that the Cardinals played today, this time with the catcher for the Brewers. But the reason why this is happening is they are coaching these catchers to scoot up and to reach out and grab those low pitches and trying to get them called strikes, and it's led to more catchers interference calls this year than ever before, and now a broken form by someone else. Is it just me, or should they have like a box for these catchers, like stop reaching too far, automatic ball or catcher interference if you do, even if you don't hit the bat? Like, this is just stupid. You're hurting people.
I mean, you got a batter's box, why shouldn't you have a catcher's box? Yeah.
I hate that we had to make rules to get away from this over analytically driven game that we have now, but that's literally what we've done. We said, put 2 feet in the dirt, please. Put 2 players on each side of the second base, please. Stop scooting so close, please. Like, just play game, have fun, right?
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, like you said, we've seen the injuries go up for these catchers. I mean, last year Will Smith ends up with concussion problems because he was so far up in the trying to frame the pitches, and kept on getting hit in the head on the backswings of these hitters because he was so close to them. And he gets mad because he gets hit in the head, and I'm like, it's not their fault. Talk to your manager, because he's the one that has you 2 inches from the batter's box.
Yeah, whoever told Wilson, like, some people were trying to spin the narrative that it was who was it for Martinez, or who was it, JD? Who was it?
Yeah, JD Martinez.
JD. Like, it was him. Like, that was a fine backswing. That was unfortunately Wilson's fault, who's the only Cardinal who knows how to hit the baseball right now. And just boom, clipped him, and that's the coaching's fault. Oh, another weird coaching problem. So stupid. Also, the Cardinals today, they challenged twice. They won both challenges. After the second winning challenge, Ollie Marmol and Daniel Descalso both got thrown out of the game.
I saw that.
I thought, I was like, look at that. Even Ollie doesn't want to be out there anymore. He's like, I'm done. I'm upset they won today, because had they lost, I think he could have gotten fired.
Maybe he'll get fired. You never know.
This management team is so dumb. Last year they were 15-25 going into this time, and now they're 16-24. I'm just saying. Why is he on the team? I would have rather had Madison Bumgarner today hitting where Paul Goldschmidt hit, and Paul Goldschmidt hit a home run and an RBI single. So I'm just saying. In happy news, Paul Skenes finally made his MLB debut for the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are a team with some good draft picks, some good guys that are coming up. What did you think of his debut? I mean, it was number-wise wasn't great, but what did you think? How did they handle it? What do you think?
So far, I haven't understood exactly what they've done with Paul Skenes. Like before, a couple weeks ago, he hadn't pitched more than 3 innings in a game. They had him on a pitch count for some weird reason. I don't know why. We've discussed this. Pitch counts don't really matter because it doesn't help. We've seen it. The history doesn't show it that it helps. But I thought he showed exactly what we thought with some of the stuff. I mean, that slider he throws, if it's on, man, that slider is insane. Even the split 2-seam fastball, the late action on that thing was so disgusting. I'm like, yeah, he looks like he is bound to be that next ace pitcher. But after they pulled him was just one of the weirdest ends of the inning I've seen. I mean, you literally walked in 6 runs.
Yeah, which is really hard to do.
Yeah,
I mean, just throw the thing down the middle, and you won't walk in a 5th run. Like you might hit him in, but at least make him earn it.
Yeah, so I don't like that they had him on a pitch count. At least they let him throw more pitches this game than he has thrown all season, which was nice to see. You know, they had the lead, and so I think they were trying to get him in line for potential to get that win. But the bullpen came in and just absolutely just imploded, and it was hit by pitch, walk, hit by pitch, walk. Yeah. And I'm like, what are we doing?
There was a rain delay in the game, so my thought was even if he would have stayed, he would have pulled after 4 innings, maybe 4 1/3 or so. I don't remember what time in that 5th inning that the delay happened, but it was in the 5th. It's really entertaining. The guy shows he has some stuff. The pitch count thing drives me insane because at first it was limit the innings, then it was limit the pitches, then it was focus on stressful pitches. You know what? Just don't give 110% on every single pitch, and you'll do much better. We've seen the poster child with Steven Strasburg from the very moment they drafted him. They did it, and look how it turned out. I understand the sample size is literally 1, but he was the poster child for it, and now we know he was a max effort guy. He just was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. I think get rid of it. Just let him go out there and throw. I mean, because that's last year. When he was last season, college season, he was at LSU. That kid just threw all the time. Threw a lot of innings. You ain't gonna put any more stress on his arm than it's already there. Instead, if you stop making these kids throw 100% every single time, you have a potential to have 2 really good young pitchers in Jared Jones and Paul Skenes in that rotation. Don't mess it up.
Yeah, and I will say, whenever you do that, you allow people to go further. Jordan Hicks has been a good example up until this month. This month he has an ERA at 5. What is it? He's had 9 innings, 5 earned runs, so it's like 6.5. But he's been the guy that has one of those games is at Colorado, and the other one was against the white hot Phillies. I'm not going to judge him, but he's been a guy who instead of 102, 105, he's been 97, 98, so he can go longer. And I think he's a good example of. You can go further into a game, especially as a starter, if you're doing that. I never would have thought I would have seen the day that Jordan Hicks would have a game where he pitched 7 innings, which happened earlier in April. 7 innings. Never would have guessed. With no walks. I don't understand. Where's this guy? He's starting to walk.
It just speaks to what's going on in St. Louis.
Don't get me started. All right, everybody, that is the W Sports Podcast. James, I appreciate you. Sorry, different James just jumped in the chat. It's good to see you. It's James 4. I love it. It's good to see you guys. Thanks for jumping in the chat today. It's been a good podcast. We got a little bit of baseball, basketball, and football, and softball. And you know what? We got into college wrestling. I don't know how. I mean, that's just Tubby, guys. Listen, Tubby runs it. So we're going to be out. We'll be back at it again next Sunday night. I look forward to hanging out with y'all. Till then, we will see you all next time.
See ya.
See ya.